Wuzzy was a bear. Holla ballers. We're going to be looking at the Guardian Druid. Yeah, you guys asked for it. You voted for it over at preachgaming.com. So here it is, as simple as pie. Oh yes, we're going to be looking at the Guardian Druid. How have they changed them up? How are our fuzzy little bears doing? Are they still baller? Are they rocking and rolling? In fact, Blizzard have done quite a few little tiny changes. Little tiny things, but overall the bear is in pretty good shape. We'll jump into the usual stuff. Specialization. We are going Guardian. So the first thing you're going to notice about your Druids is they now have 4 specs. Thank God. Only took you 4 expansions. Jesus, Blizzard. Really? How long have you made us spec sort of cat bear and have this sort of weird intermingling talent tree? Come on, Blizz. Get it together, son. Oh, you did. Awesome. Cool. So we now have an individual specialization dedicated to tanking. All good. These are our core abilities, and there's a few changes in here. First of all, Mangle. Mangle is now a big, heavy hitting attack, very much like our shield, Slime Shield of the Righteous, etc, etc. Notice though, guys, no longer gives a bleed debuff. Be aware of that, it no longer does it. Mangle is now just a big, hard-hitting, smashing ability, and it now generates rage. That's right, it doesn't cost us rage, it generates rage. So we want to be using that bad boy on cooldown. My God. Every single time. I'm sorry. Okay, the phone is on silent. I'm sorry. Every 2 seconds the damn phone's going off. Lacerate. Lacerate still does what it used to do, okay? We're just going to get a 3 stacking bleed effect that gives the opportunity for Mangle to instantly reset. Same as it is in Kata, no worries there. Savage Defense, our old mastery that propped this bizarre sort of druidic nature force field all over us. That's been changed. It's now just a cooldown that increases our dodge by 45%. It's a 1.5 second cooldown, the same as Shield Block and Holy Shield, etc, etc. But it's going to set us back 60 rage. Is it going to be the same as the Warriors, where effectively we had so much rage that we could just spam this bad boy all the time? As soon as we hit 60 rage, we just popped that, and that was it. Didn't feel like much of a choice for the Prot Warriors. Will it for the Bears? We'll see. We'll see. And we also get Frenzied Regen. This has actually been changed because of a glyph, but like it used to, it converts health to some rage and stuff and gives you a little bit of healing, blah, 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 blah. But I've changed it as we would do in the glyph, and we'll get to that shortly. So those are going to be 4 core abilities. Everything that still was there from Cataclysm. Couple of changes there for Savage Defense. Couple of changes for Mangle. But other than that, everything pretty much similar, okay? We're going to jump into the talents now. Now, the first thing I want you guys to understand is the talents for the bear are actually really, really good. Moonkins, I felt in the PvE environment, really struggled with the talents. But in terms of the bear, I actually think we've got some good choices in here, so we'll go through them. The first tree that you get at level 15 actually annoys me a little bit. I'll talk about Displace a Beast for now. It teleports the druid up to 20 yards forward and activates Cat Form and Prowl. We're not going to be using that as bear. That's just out of the question. No, no, no. We're not going to be doing it. So our choices come between Feline Swiftness and Wild Charge. Now, personally, I love Feline Swiftness. It's just a flat 50% movement speed increase. However, Wild Charge, our now bear charge, needs to be talented in order to get it. I don't like this. I really don't. I think charge is vital for a tank. Some sort of big leap there, and bears were on par with the mobility of the warriors. Not quite up to the same scratch, but they were close. But now we have to choose, which means we're going to have to be enchanting some movement speed onto our boots of our bear. I kind of wish charge was just still baked into the Guardian tree. I liked charge. I love charge. Charge is awesome for moving around and doing some nice big fast quick pulls. Unfortunately now it is a talent, so I wanted both of these. I went ahead and picked charge because, well, for tanking I effing love charge. So good. At level 30 we get some various abilities, not all affect bears of course. This one is Nature Swiftness, gives you an instant cast spell of some sort of nature-based ability. Can usable in all forms. So there's an argument there that maybe we can use an instant cast Healing Touch or Nourish on ourselves as a bear. I personally like the thought of the instant cast Rebirth, especially in 10-mans where we might not be carrying as many combat reses as we find in a 25-man. There are times there where the tanks have to perform a combat res. Nature Swiftness could be good for you guys. The other one was Cenarian Ward. It protects a friendly target, causing any damage taken to heal the target. For some, gaining the healing effect consumes the Cenarian Ward effect. Not really great for tanking. When I looked at Renewal, instantly heals the Druid for 30% of all his maximum health, usable in all shapeshift forms. I went with that for tanking, for that emergency holy cow heal. I'll just point out very quickly, guys, the beta realm is actually more bugged than it was previously with professions. If I click in here, you can't even open a professions tab. It just doesn't work. Look, I'm spamming. It just does not work anymore. So this character is a pre-made, and as you can see, he has no gems whatsoever. He's no mated gem, etc, etc. I'm just going to bring that up to you now because it will affect us later. But Renewal heals us for 30% of our maximum health. Now, as a bear, I've got 156k without any buffs. I don't even have Mark of the Wild on, so it's a nice 50k heal. That's pretty decent. With some raid buffs, we're probably looking around 40, 50k there. Really, really nice. I like the look of Renewal for my tanking. Went ahead and picked that one. At level 45, we get Fairy Swarm. Grants an improved version of Fairy Fire that reduces the target's movement speed by 50%. There's an argument to be made there for sure. Maybe in a raid environment, maybe more for a PvP sort of environment. I guess, you know, it's all down to your personal choices. There was also Typhoon, knocking enemies back as a tank. Get out of here, Blizzard! What? No way, I'm not picking that as a tank. I went with Mass Entanglement. For 5-mans and stuff, I can root everything around me. It's a little bit gimmicky, I guess, but, you know, it's okay. It's okay. We'll let it slide this time, Blizz. But a bit of a weak tree there for the bears, I feel. At level 60, we get some sort of cooldown to use and abuse, and they all change depending on your specs. So for the Guardian, Soul of the Forest, Mangle now generates a flat 2 additional rage. Now, without having jump into a 5-man, and certainly not seeing what we're like at level 90, I don't know if we'll have rage problems and whether or not that extra 2 rage will come in very, very handy, especially for sort of keeping the cooldown on Savage Defense up pretty regular. So we'll keep an eye out on Soul of the Forest as we level on. There's also Force of Nature, summons 3 Treants to assist the Druid's combat role. Yeah, pretty cool, I guess, but I went with Incarnation. For the Guardian, this improves the bear form that reduces the cooldown on melee damage abilities and growl to 1.5 seconds. So it's massive, enormous, super cool threat enhancement. If we're in a real big pickle of a situation and things are looking really shaky, we can pop Incarnation, we can start spamming some taunts. We'll also get a huge threat buff because we've only got reduced cooldowns on all our melee abilities. We can start smashing things in the face. So I went with Incarnation. I thought that looked pretty gravy to me. At level 75, get Disorientating Roar. Kind of like Piercing Howl. Invokes the spirit of the Ursol to roar, disorientating all enemies within 10 yards for 3 seconds. Any damage caused will remove. So we've got this like sort of Piercing Howl CC. So it's got to just make people wander around like retards until it takes some damage. Well, as a tank, I don't really want to be doing that kind of stuff. I want to be swiping and thrashing their balls off. I want to be taking every little piece of skin they've got off them. So I didn't roll with that one. Ursol's Vortex. We've seen this in the other 2 guides I've done. We've seen it in the Balanced Druid, and we've also seen it in the Resto Druid. I liked this one of sucking all the targets back in and keeping them nice and CC'd. But I actually went with Mighty Bash. It invokes the Spirit of Ursoc to stun the target for 5 seconds, usable in all forms. I actually really, really like bashing. I think it's great because there's no better damage reduction than actually just stunning the mob. You're not taking any damage. So for 5-mans, which I'm going to be doing on this guy, I went with Mighty Bash. I'll talk briefly about what you're going to get at level 90. Heart of the Wild. You've got all these non-balanced, non-feral stuff. It dramatically improves the Druid's ability to perform outside of their normal specialization. Very rarely does that affect a bear, you know? Very rarely a bear tank is going to be in other sorts of forms. Perhaps if we have to do a little bit of damage, then yeah, it's cool, Heart of the Wild. While in cat form, agility, hit, chance and expertise are increased, which we generally move away from as a bear. That hit and expertise, definitely worth noticing there. While in bear form, agility, expertise, hit, chance and armor bonuses are increased, but remember, it actually buffs a form that you are not currently specialized in, so we will not get that Guardian bonus. We will get the bonuses for feral, non-restoration and non-balance. We're certainly not going to be doing much non-restoration, non-balance. Maybe an emergency tranquility. Is this boss putting out huge amounts of AoE damage and we need a big super buffed Tranquility? There's an opportunity there to be sure. Keep an eye out on it. We've got Dreamer Cenarius, Wrath, Starfire, Star Surge and melee abilities. Increase healing done by your next healing spell by 30%. Again, affecting our Tranquility. Non-instant casts of Nourish, Healing Touch and Regrowth increase the damage done by your next damage spell or ability by 30%. That's ropey at best. certainly increase the fact that we might get a super buffed 30% tranquility, but if we're desperate for that tranquility, we'll probably pick up Heart of the Wild. If it's just a tranquility we might need sometimes, and we can't predict that moment, then maybe Dream of Cenarius will rock and roll for us. The other one is Disentanglement. Shapeshifting now removes roots. In addition, shifting up into a farm heals the druid for up to 15% of his maximum health. Healing is proportional to time elapsed since its effect was last triggered. Pretty weak. So I think for a normal standard raid bear, when we're just rocking and rolling as normal and we're maybe a holy crap moment's going, we're going to roll with Dream of Cenarius. If it's a super important, we need your AoE heal. We need your tranquility. Think Chimeron. A bear druid's tranquility was vital in Chimeron progression. They needed those big healing cooldowns. Then perhaps Heart of the Wild is going to come in nice and shiny there and really rock our world. But one of these two for the bears for sure. Really, really nice stuff. Not overly strong, nothing that maybe blows my mind, but still pretty cool. But again, it's all based around healing, and bears, well, we like being bears, don't we? That's why we're bears. So we go with the glyphs. Now, bears did have some nice choices of glyphs. I'm going to talk about them briefly. Bark skin doesn't affect us. I'll talk about the ones that affect us. The first one, I'll just look at Fairy Fire, increases the range. Face Silence. Thank you, Blizzard. Thank you. Fairy Fire, used in bear form, silences the target for 3 seconds, but triggers a 15-second cooldown. How good is this? A ranged silence for our bears. Yes! I can't wait to try this out. So cool. Thank you, Blizzard, for that. It's like a heroic throw for the bears. Really nice. You got Fairy Fire, which is a nice rage increased. Frenzied Regen, which is the same as it is on Kata. For 6 seconds after activating Frenzied Regen, healing effects on you are 40% more powerful. However, your Frenzied Regen now no longer costs 60 rage and no longer converts rage to health. We love this cooldown for the bears. This is fantastic. It's so cool. When we just need that extra healing, it's a brilliant cooldown. Going down, Infected Wounds. You now have to sort of glyph for Infected Wounds, but it no longer reduces damage or attack speed. It's just a movement speed decrease. That's why I've not picked that up. So note that Infected Wounds has changed now. If you want Infected Wounds, then you glyph it, but it's just a slow. It's not going to stop their attack speed, which is pretty garbage. Glyph of Maul still exists. Thank you for not removing this one. Holy cow, we were worried this was going to disappear. Your Maul ability now hits one additional target for 50% damage. A nice natural cleave ability for the bear. We love that one. Glyph of Might of Ursoc. Increase the health gain from Might of Ursoc by 20%, but increases the cooldown by 2 minutes. We're going to use that situationally, aren't we, ballers? This is going to be something like Impale or Madness of Deathwing, where we need every last inch of HP to make sure we survive. We're going to go ahead and glyph into Might of Ursoc. Coming down, Glyph of Rebirth there, you get 100% health. Nice if we can afford it. I don't think the bears can. I'll note Skull Bash increases duration of Skull Bash interrupt by 4 seconds, but increases the cooldown by 10. That's a big giveaway for something that's already a 15-second cooldown. While we're rolling in our 5-mans, we just want to make sure that we're regularly interrupting and certainly not waiting 25 seconds for interrupts. Wow, that's insane. There's some Stampede and Stampeding Roar, which increase the range and allows you to Stampeding Roar in any form. We're going to be in bear forms, balls to it. Glyph of Survival Instincts. Reduce the cooldown of Survival Instincts by 60 seconds, but reduce its duration by 50%. It's an interesting glyph, that, and I kind of think you're probably going to roll with this one, especially the better players who can time their Survival Instincts to the second. Really going to get the full benefit of this, because you're going to get a nice regular cooldown of Survival Instincts and exactly when you need it. Pretty cool glyph, that one. You just watch that one out there. I rolled with these for the 5-mans. I'm pretty confident I won't need Survival Instincts probably more than once a fight. Hopefully. Depends how much damage our little bear takes. And the fun ones, we have already covered these. For the bear, I roll with Mark of the Wild to reduce the mana cost. Glyph of the Stag is textbook. Everybody needs Glyph of the Stag. And I went with Glyph of the Chameleon. Every time we shapeshift into cat form or bear form, we will have a random hair colour. Woo! Not that you can really tell. So those are your glyphs and stuff. I'm going to flick through the spell book. What we're noticing here, though, guys, and one of the major things that's very noticeable about the Guardian Druid is we have a shit ton of cooldowns. I'm going to point them out individually, but we have so many effing cooldowns. It's absolutely unbelievable. We're starting to feel a lot like a Death Knight almost with the amount of cooldowns we've got. So we've got Bark Skin as well. The Druid Skin becomes as tough as Bark, reducing your damage by 20%, still on a 1-minute cooldown. And again, it's just a brilliant little 20% damage reduction all the time. You should be spamming Bark Skin pretty much. It's such a great little ability. Makes your healer that much happier. This ability looks awesome. I can't wait to try it. It's called Bear Hug. We've got a Bear Hug. Melee attacks that stuns the target for 3 seconds. And each 1 second deals 10% of the Druid's health in damage. The Druid is immobilized for 3 seconds using this ability. Activates Bear Form. So 10% of your health as damage. So we're talking like a chain of like 15Ks or 16Ks damage from the Bear Hug. Really nice. So it's like the bear is sucking the guy in and like chomping on his balls. I absolutely love this. I hope it's as good as it sounds. You are immobilized while you do it. But while we're tanking a boss, we're generally stood still anyway. So time that well and we can have a really, really nice big damaging ability there with Bear Hug. Berserk has been changed. It no longer cancels any fear effects, okay? It still makes your Mangle instant cast and hit up to 3 targets, but no longer breaks fear or anything to do with fear whatsoever. So just note that little change. We have lost our fear breaking ability. Hopefully bosses aren't going to be employing some sort of weird fear mechanics. That would suck. Enrage still does what it does, generates 20 rage and then generates additional 10 rage over 10 seconds. A nice little rage ability. We've got Fairy Fire that increases the armor debuff on the target as it used to. I'm going to skip the cat talents because I'm just going to be tonking. We know Growl, we know this stuff. Incarnation we talked about. Mangle's still there. There was another ability I wanted to talk about. Everything else is still the same. There's Renewal. Our Mastery, that's what I wanted to talk about. I will know for your AoE stuff, Thrash and Swipe still exist. The stupid thing about it is you can still just macro them together. As you can see, the stupidest macro in the world, which is /cast Thrash, /cast Swipe. You can just press this button and it will do both of those abilities. No big deal whatsoever. So it's just generally a bit of a waste in my opinion just to have these two abilities. I would rather have one regularly spammable attack. It seems daft just to have both of them. It doesn't help the class in any way whatsoever as far as I'm concerned. Our Mastery, Nature's Guardian, increase your armor by 9%. So keep an eye on that. Your Mastery is no longer affecting Savage defense. So that's one thing to be noticing there. We pick up Nurturing Instinct passively. Increase your nature spell power by 100% of your agility. No longer increases healing on you. Note that for the Guardians. But we do get this big bonus to healing. So our Tranquility will be helpful. Primal Fury is still there. Thick Hide is still there. Vengeance is still there. Our level 87 ability is probably the most ridiculous ability in the game. I can imagine this not lasting very long, or it's just going to be general suck spells. It's Symbiosis, where we give up one of our spells and take a spell off another class depending on their spec. This one's ropey. It's not great at all, is it? It's just so difficult to balance with every single spec in the game. I can just imagine it's going to be trivialized to the point where you just don't get anything really, really cool. Especially because some people in arenas especially are really going to be abusing Symbiosis. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Those are your bear changes, guys. We're going to jump into a 5-man now. I will split the video, but I'm pretty sure I could probably just queue straight up. Oh!